Hi, let's now try to see list comprehension. It is a very powerful technique and all the Python developers love it. So when you have to create a list from either a list or a tuple or a string or a range function, you can use list comprehension whenever it is possible. I will just show you with a small example. Let us say we have a list of four numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to create a new list where each element is going to be incremented by 1. Let us try to see how we generally write it. Generally, we create a new list without list comprehension. We create a new list and we loop in this particular list. Okay, so we are looping using for loop. We are looping in the list and we are going to add 1 to each of the numbers. So we are taking each one by one and we are adding 1 to them, and then we are going to append them to the new list that we have created. Now if I try to print the new list, you can see that the values are increased by 1. So the values are increased by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But there is a very easy method in order to do this by using list comprehension. Let's see that. Now we are creating new list. We are naming it as new list 1. Now let him write the entire syntax, then I'll explain you. Now for each n in numbers, this particular list, we are going to get the n and we are going to add n plus 1 in the new list. Okay, see what happens is, this is the syntax. So for each n in the numbers, we are taking that n and we are just adding 1 and a new list will be created automatically. So instead of writing all this in one line, we have created it. Now if you print new list, this is for initially it will be difficult for you to understand it, but as you go and practice it, it will be very easy and you will love to use list comprehension whenever you want to create a list. Okay, got it? Now let's try to see how we can create a list from a string. Let us say there is a name and I want all the characters in the name to be one element in the list. Okay. So let us say name is Ravindra. Now we can use list comprehension here also. We are creating a list called letters list and we are looping on name. For letter in name, we are returning the letter LUT. That's it. Okay, now what happens is, for each letter in the name, the final list has to contain this letter. So how to remember list comprehension is, whatever is in the beginning of the list, that is the final output that is going to be present inside the list. Okay, in this case the letters are going to be present inside the list as a list. Okay, so now you can see that the entire Ravindra word has been broken down into letters and it is created into a list. So you can create list from range function also. Okay, whenever there is a sequence, you can use that. You can create a list from other list or from range or from string or from tuple. You can create them. Now we are going to use range. Now for each number in some range of 1, 5 or something like that. Now we want to create a list using those numbers. Now I am writing like this, see, or let us say number into 2. So we are taking numbers from 1 to 5 and we are multiplying the number with 2 and we are creating a list. Therefore, what do we get? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. So this is what goes into the final This is what goes into the final list. When you are when you are making a list, this is what goes into the final list, and this is all the looping part in the other list or a sequence or anything. Now you can see that 2, 4, 6, 8 are actually printed because the range does not go till 5, right? The range goes only till 4. That is why 2, 4, 6, 8 are created. Now we can also have if condition, which is a test. So you can also have test conditions in the list comprehension. For example, let us say we have names here. Now I want to take out the names which are 3 characters or less. Okay. So it is interesting now. We are creating a new list from the existing list where the size of the names is going to be 3 or less. So for each name in the names, which means we are looping over it, we are going to have if condition. If length of name, so here whatever name you have used, you have to use the same thing. Okay, you are going to test on this. So if the length of name is less than 4, then here you are going to say return name. Now what happens here is whenever the length of the name is less than 4, then that particular name will be added to the list. Okay, so for each list in the names, we are testing whether the length of the name is less than 4. If that is the case, we are adding it to the list. So RBR and size got printed. Okay. Now long names. Now we are going to create one more list for long names. Now again for each name in names, if length of name, so you have to use this name. Okay, whatever the item you are using here, you have to use the same thing. If length of name is greater than 4, then we are printing the name. Okay, we are converting the name to uppercase. Now all the names which are greater than 4, they will be created, they will be converted to uppercase. So all the names which are greater than 4 length are now created into uppercase. Now let us say we have a list and we want to square the numbers in the list and create a new list. Okay. You put numbers instead of number. Now I want to square all these numbers. Again, we are going to loop in this numbers list. And we are going to get each number one by one and we are going to add it to the new list. Exponentiation to the power of 2. Okay. So now we can see that the numbers are squared. Okay. Now let's try to do one more example with if condition where we have a list of numbers and we want to filter out the even numbers. We want to get the even numbers. Okay. Now we want to get only the even numbers by filtering. For each number in numbers, if number modulo 2 equal to 0, then we are going to return that number and it is going to be added into the list. Okay. Now if you print the even list, now the even list is printed. Okay. Okay, fine. We'll see more examples again in the next videos. Okay. Now let us say there are two files and two files have numbers in them. Now I want to print what is the intersection of these two files. What are the numbers that are in intersection? And I want to do it using list comprehension. Okay, so let's see the files here. Now file 1 has some numbers, random numbers, and file 2 has some numbers. And there are intersection parts in file 2, file 1 and file 2. I want to get that intersection part. Okay, so first let's open the files using with open as. So with open file 1 as file 1. And now let's try to use read lines. We have used read lines earlier. It is going to give you a list of all the lines which are present in the file. Every line will be an item. Okay. So why don't we print this read lines file 1 data. Now file 1 data, file 1 underscore data. Let's try to see what is present in that list. We can see that inside the list, all the numbers are there, which are in each one line. So it is a list of lines. Okay, it has taken all the lines and it has put every line in it as a separate item inside the list. Okay. So now let's open the second one also and create a list with the contents. File 2 as file 2. When you are copy pasting, there might be a chance of error, so you have to be careful. You have to replace everywhere. Now let's use list comprehension. So we are going to loop through one list and we are going to check if that element is present or not in the other list. We are going to loop through one list, file 1 data, and we are going to check if that particular number. So we are going to go through for each number in the file 1. We are seeing if that number is present in file 2. Simple, just in one line it is over. That is the power of list comprehension. Now, if it is present in file 2, then I am adding it to the result. Now, if I print the result, you will see the intersection part. There you can see intersection is 2, 4, 5 and 12. But these are all in form of strings. Let's convert them to integer. Because they are all numbers, so I want to convert them into integer. Now if you observe it, all of them are numbers now. And that new line is also going to be deleted if you convert it to integer. See, if integer is represented as a string followed by the new line character, if you convert it into integer using int, then that new line character will also be deleted. Okay, thank you. Now that you have learned how to find intersection using list comprehension, you can also do the difference using list comprehension. So in our program, the earlier program that we have done for Indian States program, the quiz program, we are going to see that or we want to take the missing states, and then we want to create a list for the missing states, right? So I want to do this everything using list comprehension. So let's try to comment it out. And now let's create missing states directly using list comprehension. So we are going to get into all the states in the states list, all states list. And if the state is not, if the state is not present in guest, if the state is not in guest states, then I want to add it to the missing states. That's it. So instead of writing these 4 lines, we have done in 1 line, right? So we have taken each state one by one in the states list, and we have seen that if the state, if that particular state is not in the guest list, then we are going to add it to the missing states. So finally, the state is going to be added to the missing states. Just 1 line. Okay. Thank you.